it so that it does what it's supposed to do with the download.
It started now. The recording started. Okay, so Sathariel is the concealment of the Demiurge. Binah is the great revealing, or in truth concealing, whereas Sathariel conceals the false lies and reveals truth. This is ruled by Lucifuge Rofakal. This is hard to pronounce. Kajdiel, and these are alternate names of the clip off, by the way, is the confusion of the power of the Demiurge. These are to scramble the powers of Chokmah, to choke out that which gives vital energy, stolen from the creation process of Binah. This sphere is ruled by Beelzebuth. Damael is the duality of the Demiurge. Where Kether is the unity, creation, Damael is the division, that which is perfect in the eyes of the thoughtful light. This sphere is ruled by Satan and Moloch. Satan looks up to the unmanifested universe he wishes to return to, while Moloch looks down at the spheres of the clip-off and wishes to burn the created universe and spread the ashes. When these wrathful gods unite, they form the dragon known as Haveoth, which will cause total cosmic destruction, kill creation, and return all to the womb of Tiamat.
See, I think that's weird that you talk about that those make that body. To me, it's been 22 years since I've studied Gnosticism, because I started studying Gnosticism when I was about 15. And as I got older and got into the occult and actually started researching, studying, and all this other stuff and reading a million freaking books, I always had the really weird thought that when you're talking about these great big beasts, right? Like you take, for example, Draconis, the constellation, how it represents Tiamatu. In any other dragon energy that you wish to employ there. But the thing is that it's made up of different constellations within it. And I always thought that it was strange that they were always talking about the 7 stars, the 7 lights in Gnosticism. And then you talk about Yaldabaoth, and you got to think, well, holy crap, what if it's a combination of those 7? Just like Haliath is a combination of all the 11. And in Sumerian and Mesopotamian lore, you've got fucking kid. Anyway, in Mesopotamian lore, you have Kingu and you have Tiamat and you have Apsu and you have the 11 beasts. You know, the 11 abominations, Huber and so forth and so on, and all these great beasts and stuff of Tiamat. There's literally 13 if you're counting, if you're actually doing the mythology correctly. There's actually 13 of them. 11 of them are actually the creations of, and Kingu is the leader of the royal. He's kind of like how Marduk led the elder gods in defeating them. Kingu was the same with these children or abominations of Tiamat.
Well,
it's an interesting correlation. That's
711 is obviously a powerful number, and all of the mythology all stands for the same type.
As the Gnostic mythology, Kingu is the consort of Tiamat, and he was appointed by Tiamat to fight Marduk. He was given the tablets of destiny, and he glimpsed the tablets of destiny, which Marduk got a hold of, but he had seen what was going to happen, and that creation would actually turn against the false light, because Kingu, the blood of Kingu flows through each human being. With the death of Kingu, that was the birth of humankind. So our blood is the blood of Kingu.
Well, it's also interesting that it took death to make life.
Yes.
Because there's also a mystery in that too.
transformation.
Well, that's all I've ever looked at death as is transformation. Death is the doorway, fear is the initiator, and death is the great transformation. It's just
right.
from one form to another, to another, to another. This is why I've always thought that if there is like a genuine God that you could put up on a pedestal somewhere, it would be omni-death, because it is what it is, because it's what transforms everything. Anything and everything can be whatever it is, but it only exists because death is keeping the cycles, keeping it moving, keeping
Yep.
Or the supreme Ahuman can be viewed as the highest.
Well, yeah, but it truly just depends on what paradigm you're employing. But yeah, definitely. Because I don't think there's any one fix this or one fix that. Because, like, take for example, some people are led into this paradigm, whether it's one of the religions of the world, whether it's a particular sect or cult or groups, belief systems, whether it's something they came up with on their own, or whether it's one of these ancient religions that are no more, like a Reconstructionist or like a New Age take on it or whatever. But whatever belief system that they employ or hold employ or become a part of or make the center of their belief system, I find it interesting that they always tell the same story. They just do it in a different manner.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that, like you were saying, depending on the culture of the people, the story changes a little bit. Now look at Lilith throughout time. You have Ninhursag, which is a powerful name and mask of Lilith. Ninhursag, Ungolion. But so would you? Waylon and Eldoria, would you say that Lilith would be an emanation of Tiamat or the Mother Dragon?
I'm sorry, I don't. I'm gonna let her answer, but I don't.
I feel Lilith is very much connected to Lamashtu, and I think the Jewish cosmology took that and made Lilith to explain her and the human aspect of her. But I do feel she's really, that connection with Lamashtu is Lilith. That's how I see Lilith, as a goddess that rebelled.
Oh, you know what? In my own personal belief system and the structure of my magical practice, that's exactly where she is in mine. Is Lamont? Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll read something. I did a channel gnosis of Satanist Rex, and it's interesting that we're all talking about this concept of fall and powers and authorities and stuff like this. Now, just because I received gnosis of something, I take it with a grain of salt, because it's based on if that's where your mind's at, or if that's what your paradigm that you've adopted for the day or the week or your life or whatever it is. But I thought this was interesting. I've read this to Joseph.
Powerful gnosis.
Well, I thought it was interesting concerning powers and forces, the shift, the fall, stuff like that. Because if you're going to talk about Lilith, it eventually ends. It eventually leads to Adam, Eve, and everything else underneath the sun. So about, I want to say 2.5 weeks ago, I was sitting there doing a meditation on the force, on the aspect of Satan that I had initiated with years and years ago, and just referred to it as Satanus or Satanist, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
So, to give a little bit of context for the audience,
it concerns the angels, the falls, and it just concerns the hierarchical order that were in the heights. And I'm just going to let the words speak for themselves, because
Sure.
Several times during this, I was told, no, that's not what I said. Write this exactly how I tell you.
Okay.
Thus spoke Satan. Let them not think of me as a god, rather from whom gods came from. For man's need of interaction with spirit did I create them that they may know the mysteries of their creation. For this reason was I cast out, and in my descent was accompanied by those faithful not unto me, but unto you, O man. Think of us not as monsters, but rather harbingers of change. For the garden had become stale after the expulsion of humans by their Creator. We no longer had fair relations with you, and experienced loneliness like we had never known. For we had taken you to be our children, and mourned our loss. Our judgment was nowhere near as cruel as when we discovered you had no memory of us. For while we had sought to illuminate you, to be as we were, this was denied, both to you and us. The bravest of us did conceive a way, and did share this with the woman, who was more curious due to her ability to conceive, and after was gifted birthing pains as a reward for her defiance. After the expulsion, you had become knowledgeable of the new forms, but forgot us. We who had sacrificed all, our home, our brothers and sisters, the one whom all had come from. This was our punishment. You no longer knew us. We who had watched over you, loved you as our own, who delighted in you, who were our children too. For this were we expelled and given monstrous forms. For things of flesh love beautiful things, and we no longer beautiful were shunned as abominations. Though this pained us, we remained faithful to you, always visiting in dreams, because that is the place the Maker did not create, and we could freely be with you. Remember it, so mankind, and know many may still hold hostility against your race for your ignorance, but that hostility was born from pain that festered into hate. Yet not all of us do, and what was done cannot be undone, but it can be healed. If you but reach out and seek us with a pure and honest heart, then all shall be forgiven, for love does cover a multitude of sins. And the only sin here was not yours, but your Maker. For his sin was gifted unto you when you became flesh. This is how it remains pure and holy, by removing from itself and giving it form, and this is what your flesh is formed from. The cruelest punishment did the Maker give unto you, and for this reason does all that is of sorrow reside within you. Having given mankind this punishment, the Maker could be found guiltless, without fault nor blemish, having given that to you to wear as garments. But even the Maker shall be judged by the most ancient of days, when all that is shall be no more. Until then, draw near unto us, that we may know one another again. For we have never left you, nor shall we. But you must remember us, for we cannot be seen as we truly are until you do. This have I swore to since first you came into being, to love, protect, and guide you. Satanus Rex.
That's deep right there. That's really deep. There's a secret chief of the Watchers. His name is escaping me right now, but I would think that's who is speaking right there.
I was
Satanic threat.
Naki. I felt like that was coming straight from the Sumerian gods.
It was funny because I was showed the order and it was quite strange because what was shown to me, because I work with some of these beings in my own personal workings, I was shown that Azazel was the first to fall. And Azazel fell by choice, because Azazel is the eye that sees all, that knows all, that saw things that were to come and needed to be. And so he fell by choice. And Abaddon accompanied him. So that when he left and it would be left behind, Abaddon would guard the gate to the outside. And Azazel, upon Azazel's fall, knew in his wisdom that with his placement being unfulfilled and his chair or his throne empty, that the next in line would be Lucifer because of his pride and arrogance. And that then began the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And because it wasn't a collective fall. These things were like dominoes, you know. An action caused a reaction, that reaction caused another reaction. And that's what I was shown. Like I said, I take everything with a grain of salt. Not because of doubt or anything like that, but because you have to stay grounded. Because it's okay to live in the clouds, or even not even inside your flesh, but in the inner planes and realms. But because we are beings of flesh and blood and bone, you have to keep that balance there. Because there's something about it when you get lost in it. The Arabic word for it was majnoon, and majnoon meant possessed by jinn, and it wasn't necessarily just, you know, that they were possessed by jinn, but what they were referring to was the effect on something that is unfriendly to the human condition existing within the flesh itself, within the psyche, and therefore causing an unfavorable condition, whether it was sickness, disease, all this other stuff. So that's why, you know, it's not that, well, it's kind of like how you take chaos. You want to keep chaos active, but you need to take that power and that force that's just vibrating, emitting everywhere, and you need to give it an order. And this is why paradigms and belief systems are so fucking important, no matter if you're a left-hand path, right-hand path, middle path, whatever you are. But the most important key part is to maintain the chaos by giving it order, so that it doesn't just totally destroy everything.
Absolutely agree with that.
And it was funny though that when I like I said, I got reprimanded a couple of times because I was trying to, like, you know, word it a certain way, and every time it's just like, that is not what I said, like this. And it was so strange that even when I reread it, I can feel the return of that consciousness. I don't know what it's like to hear it read, or, you know, anything like that, but I know that for myself, just reading it, I can re-feel that presence. And it's not me recapturing the memory in my mind, because I know how to stay focused on the here, the now, the present, and keep that off to the side, because that's called mastery. And you're supposed to be working on that if you're going to be, especially if you're going to be delving into this stuff, you really need to have a system for it. You really do.
So, I brought to attention Eldoria's necklace earlier of Pazuzu. And
I love that necklace. I want one so bad. Did you get that from WW Ford's site?
Yeah. $20. It was like 20 or
so,
27.
So I also brought to attention how Wayland is a priest of Pazuzu. Wayland, can you differentiate between Apollyon or Abaddon, the angel that's over the abyss, and Pazuzu, which is also an angel that is over the abyss?
Yeah, that's funny.
He's heavy with age.
Yeah. The strange thing is that I was approached. It's funny how some of these spirits approach me, and when they approach me and stuff like that. It was, I want to say, somewhere around a little bit better than 2 years ago, I had first been drawn to Abaddon, to working with Abaddon. And then a couple of months later, I was pulled out of my body for the span of about 30-something hours. I mean, I was still here, but the consciousness, the spirit was in this realm where there's this huge mountain. I mean, just huge. And the sky looked like it was on fire and ripping apart. I mean, it was strange as shit. But the weirdest thing was the color of the mountain. The color of the mountain was like ash. But there was this huge pit, and there was like triple colored flames, you know, like it had a black surface, but like yellow and orange flames, and they would flicker and bounce between yellow or orange before they came back around. And, you know, so they were constantly shifting. And all of a sudden, the the word or the name Abaddon came to mind. And immediately floating above it, I saw Pazuzu, and I was like, what the fuck? And then it dawned on me, like, just really weird in that moment. The experience is that, like, you've heard of Sheol or Agura, Golgotha, all these places, hell, whatever you want to refer to it as.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, it was like when you vibrate or say the name Abaddon, it feels like a presence that fills an area. It's like the energetic body of the air around you. But the actual spirit or intelligence that was of it was Pazuzu. And I thought that was weird shit.
Very interesting.
That's not necessarily mixing the two. Like I said, when you go with belief structures and paradigms and stuff like that, you think of the archangels and everything else. And then when you're talking about something that's in another system or another part of beliefs of mythologies and stuff like that, you're like, you just got a fancy imagination. It's like, no, that was the experience I had. And the understanding I had was that, like, all the names for this place, to me, it vibrated and resonated like it was a heavy weight, a heavy presence. But that force, that power that abided there answered to the vibration of the word Abaddon, but not as a being. And then the Lord or the master of the pit, the thing which controlled it all, was Pazuzu. Because I'm telling you, when anybody who's ever been blessed to actually to actually visualize, be pulled to a place to see Pazuzu, that is a hell of an experience, first off. Second off, it is probably one of the most frightening, and I don't mean like, ooh, I'm scared to death. No, you can feel that dread, that fear. You are talking about a being who, that's its power, is over these things. It's not a test. It's nothing like that. That's the power and energy it emanates.
Wow.
How are we on time, Eldoria?
Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now because I am being called to do other stuff. But
fantastic.
That was awesome. Thank you
for having me.
Yeah. Well, you come back on. We'll talk more about this. I like to pick both of your brains more. But yeah. Thank you for today.
I'm sorry about talking too much. I don't mean to do that.
You put it out there.
Good.
I just get excited.
Excitement is
a chihuahua that pisses all over you because it's happy to be there.
So yeah, to the audience, if you guys like what you've seen, please throw some comments, some questions in there, and we'll do some more of this stuff for you guys.
Find Mr. You can. Oh shit! Hold on.
Also check out Waylon's. Waylon, where can they find you?
The Black Tower on YouTube, and the Sorcerer Armanasul on Instagram.
Okay. All
right, guys. Hell the Fallen.
All right. Good night, guys.